package of the year so far has been Annemiek van Vleuten of the Netherlands Lloyd's team. She's already worn the World Cup leader's jersey. She's lurking just behind her teammate Marianne Vos. She could well go back into that jersey after the 5th round of this year's Women's World Cup, where we move to China for Chongming Island. But Ina Joko Teutenberg will be wanting to mix it up. She's a pure sprinter and she won here last year in China. Could it be her year again? It's one of the few courses that really is a sprinter's paradise. And Marianne Vos, well, what can you say about this woman? She can win in the hills, she can win on the flat. She's super strong and nothing should be put past her, even if it's a sprinter's race, like the one at Chongming Island, coming up in round 5 of the Women's World Cup. The UCI has long been striving to make cycling more international, and the tour of Chongming Island had preceded this Women's World Cup race, a 3-day tour with 1 day's rest, and then on to this single-day race. The Women's World Cup first came to Chongming Island back in 2010, and this year's race has attracted 17 teams from 14 different nations. It's a qualifier for the 2012 Olympic Games in London, and the Chinese throwing everything at it in terms of television resources and organisational skills. Possibly more than any other race on the calendar, this one is dictated by the state of the weather. Last year it was torrential rain and high winds battering the riders as they went to and from the island to the mainland. This year it's very sunny indeed, and at the moment, at the start of the race, very calm. So 17 teams starting off, and this really is a race for sprinters. Ina Teutenberg of HTC High Road won the race here last year with a perfect lead out from her team, even in terrible weather. And it's exactly the way it might be today for a sprinter's team. You can see there's virtually no wind affecting them at the moment. The wind you can see in the background is liable to be coming from the helicopter rotor blades above the peloton as they take shots. Left-hand side of the screen, you can see Garmin Cervelo in the black with the blue helmets trying to control this race. They have a sprinter in Armistead who could well get up there and go for the victory today. Nobody willing to take on the charge and make an attack. The conditions very difficult indeed to get away from the peloton. And all the major teams, Cervelo, Cipollini, Giordana up towards the front, HTC High Road. Pretty much everybody's got somebody there. There are national teams as well from Thailand, the United States of America. The Thai you can see just closest to us is Mianapan. Blue and yellow outfit for the Thai riders. This is the first and possibly the only attack we saw on the bridge today that links the mainland to the island of Chongming. It's actually 3 islands. It's the largest alluvial island in the world, believe it or not. Chongming Island, Tianjin Island, and Hengsha Island. A total of about 1,260 kilometers square. There's one lone rider trying to get away, but the peloton all pretty much together. Last year we saw dozens of riders hanging off the back. This time only 2 or 3 or 4 suffering. Becker, the German champion, sitting towards the front, dictating the pace. Big, strong rider. She'll be called upon a little bit later for Ina Teutenberg. And nobody managed to get away either across or back across the bridge linking the island to the mainland. And now it'll be a battle of wits and nerve to see who can control this now to the end. German national team also here. And now winding up the pace at the front. This is the Netherlands Lloyd team trying to push on and make it difficult for HTC High Road. Van Vleuten had come second in the tour of Chongming Island in the previous couple of days to Ina Teutenberg of HTC High Road, and the two of them looking at each other right the way through the race. The pace has backed off again a little bit. Clearly Netherlands Lloyd thinking, well, we're not going to be able to make the break, and it's a bit too early to push very, very hard. If you push too hard early on, you just drag everybody else to the line. It's possible that there's a little bit of a tailwind coming into these riders' favour now. Just pushing them all along in one group. It doesn't look like too many have gone out of the back door. Interestingly, it's easier to get away in a break into a headwind than it is into a tailwind. You'd have thought it would be the other way around, but as a mass group, it's the peloton that gets pushed along faster by the wind. One rider trying to get away. That's really a hiding to nothing, frankly, in a race like this. Lotto in the center of your shot there, with the black and white striped, or bi-coloured jersey, should I say. And every major team having a rider just up the front doing a policing job, not really attacking at all. And really, it's not the most attacking of races, this. It's very tactical in the sense that you have to get your sprinters into the right place at the right time. And so many people who watch men's racing will know exactly how the sprinters set themselves up. Big long train for Mark Cavendish, for example. Or as it used to be, Mario Cipollini. A little less so in the women's peloton, but even there, teams wanted to get their star sprinters towards the end. Now a little bit of action. Garmin Cervelo pushing on. And look at this, shut down immediately by HTC High Road, not wanting to let them get away at all. They know that Lizzie Armistead has a fierce kick on her. It's the Thai team at the front in the yellow and blue. It's a chasing group. Now, if you look in the background on the right-hand side, you can see the wind is getting up a little bit. Looks like a tailwind now. Speculated a little bit earlier it could have been. It's not a huge wind, and certainly not at road level. Being blown along particularly fast. United States of America with 3 riders up towards the front. But this really is a race all about sprinters. And those riders who have a hefty kick on them towards the end. The overwhelming favourite must be Ina Teutenberg. She won here last year. 37 years of age. The question is, has she still got anything in the legs in order to take a victory like this? It's a high quality field. Giordano in the center of your shots as they go around the corners. They're in the fluorescent yellow with white and black. This is the run in then to the finish. It's a slight downhill finish. On the left-hand side, you can see it's Nederland Bloyd trying to keep Van Vleuten and Vos out of trouble, but Charlotte Becker miles ahead in the lead-out for Ina Teutenberg. Right behind her, it looks like Lizzie Armistead. Armistead on the wheel of Teutenberg. Teutenberg goes past Becker. Lead-out train is now over. It's down to Teutenberg. It must be 300 meters for Teutenberg. Oh, a wonderful victory. Ina Teutenberg, 37 years of age, takes the victory. Her second here at Chongming Island. And it was convincing in the end as well. Nowhere to go for Lizzie Armistead. She did not have the horsepower to go around. And just goes to show how good a lead-out rider Charlotte Becker is, the German champion. She comes in third spot, just in your shot there, with, it looks like, Annemiek van Vleuten taking fourth. And it looks like one of the Lithuanians, in fact, taking fifth spot. No, that is a textbook bit of sprinting by HTC High Road, and Teutenberg set up perfectly. She only really needed one lead out in the end, but the rest of the team were working all day to shut anything down. Super teamwork and a very, very fine victory for Ina Teutenberg. All that work done by the Cipollini Giordano team came to nothing in the end. No victory for them. Looking a little bit disappointed, one has to say. Good experience also for the national teams, because this is a qualifying round for the 2012 Olympics. But a wonderful win for a 37-year-old Ina Teutenberg.
We knew that I could win, all pretty happy, yeah.
Well, in the absence of Marianne Vos, it looks like Annemiek van Vleuten will take over the World Cup leadership once again. Ina Teutenberg may have been victor today, but it's going to be a different story in a hilly Valladolid next week.
I think a lot of teams had in mind that we can make a gap, like a decision a bit on the bridge, but the wind wasn't really good for it, so it kind of all stayed together, and there weren't many attacks at the end. It's just hard to make a difference if there's no wind and it's flat. And I mean, we knew that I could win the sprint. So, you know, we try to just relax and be ready for that. Yeah, I mean, these races are, you know, good for me. I'm a sprinter, so I mean, it's flat and it comes down to a sponge sprint, so I've always good chances to win. But we had a really, really strong team here, so I mean, we really wanted to do well this week, and we brought, I mean, our best riders for flat stuff, and you know, today we did a perfect lead out the last 3K, and that helped me to just, you know, sprint the last 200 meters without having to be in the wind before.
Well, it may be a long way to travel for the European circuit, but they certainly get treated very well here in China. The Tour of Chongming Island, culminating in this Women's World Cup one-day race. Third place to Charlotte Becker, nearest to the camera. Lizzie Armistead, the Briton, gets second for Carmen Sevilla, but the win, once again, going to Ina Teudenberg, showing what a good, pure sprinter she is on this very, very fast run-in. 2 places for HTC High Road on the podium then, and they are very happy indeed. Nice to see Lizzie Armistead coming into real form. She won the first stage of the 3-day tour of Chongming Island, and now she gets a second place in the single-day race. And the leader's jersey goes back to Annemiek van Vleuten, the second time she's pulled this on as leader. And she's also very happy indeed, and the next race should suit her as well at Valle de Lid. Here then are the results. Teudenberg ahead of Armistead, Becker, Van Vleuten, and then it was Lelevaiti, the Lithuanian, ahead of Monia Bakalia. The overall rankings, Van Vleuten from Voss, she just leads by 3 slender points. Emma Jansson, and then Teudenberg moves up to 4th spot overall. And so back to Europe and to the Iberian Peninsula. It's the GP Ciudad de Valladolid. We are in Castile and Leon, north of Madrid, northwest of Madrid in fact. A magnificent area to live in and a magnificent area to race bikes in. The weather's superb here. The Spanish absolutely adoring their bike racing. And a little bit more of a relaxed atmosphere back in Europe as Soigneurs prepare their riders. A Dutch national team competing here. And the AA Drinks team getting their numbers pinned on. Last minute checks for one of the Dutch national team by their mechanic. And there is Annemiek van Vleuten back in the World Cup leader's jersey. That's it, stock up on the food, you're gonna need it. It's a hilly race, this one at Valle de Lid. And we expect to see a different group of riders than we saw in Chongming Island. Not much room for sprinters here unless you have a fierce uphill kick, because the finish is quite nasty. It's a long drag. High pace early on from the peloton. And lots of teams having interests in keeping this one under control. But as we come back into Valle de Lid, there are a number of circuits to be covered. Each one of them has the kick up to the finish line in it, and that will shed riders left, right and centre. There is no doubt about that. Well, the Fassa Bortolo team just trying to push away, but that's never going to happen in a million years. They're just testing the pace of everybody else. The rider at the front there who's putting the hammer down just for a bit was Alessio Longo Borghini. I think he's related to Paolo Longo Borghini. Beautiful weather once again. And another little dig from the peloton. A single rider just trying to get away. But I don't think that's going to be going over very far. It's Top Sport of Vlaanderen. And immediately the peloton bringing it back. Oh, that's Angela Fernandez, the Portuguese rider. Quick puncture and a wheel change. She's got nobody with her though. The Portuguese team not waiting for her. She's just going to have to get on with it, unfortunately, and try and make the gap up. Thankfully, she's got a bit of a downhill run here, as you can see. She might well make the back of the peloton. I think she is on the far right-hand side of your shot, just back in the group now. Absolutely beautiful cycling roads around Castile and Leon. Have a wonderful tour here for the men. One of the big week-long tours here in the Spanish mainland. The others being Murcia, Catalunya. Incidentally, they have some of the oldest races in the world here as well, Catalunya being one of them. Well, a lone break. This is Alna Barato, French rider riding for the French national team. Going well, turning the pedals well. And it looks as though the peloton have let her go this time. Well, Alna Barato, not really a well-known name amongst the riders. Riding for this national French squad, they might think, well, she's not going to be too much of a threat, we'll let her go. The big-name riders like Marianne Vos, Van der Vleuten, Judith Arndt, Becker, Armistead, they're just going to let her go. She's built up a nice healthy lead at the moment. But you can see just how rolling this countryside is. It's not short sharp hills, it's just long drags back up and back down again. And this sort of heat, it can really take it out of you. It's the sort of race where you have to keep well stocked up on liquids and of course food as well, but mainly hydration is the problem here. Have to make sure that when you need fluids you ask for them and you get the car up as quickly as possible. It can be very difficult if there are breaks all over the road, but at the moment the peloton are all pretty much together. Barato's not got too much of a lead now. Gradually being cut down by the peloton. Bortolo on the front, the blue and orange, as well as the Dutch national team in the all orange in the middle there. You can see how good the road surfaces are. And suddenly, a little bit of animation behind. AA drinks in this group. Bortolo try and get across to the gap. Just trying to make sure nobody gets too far up the road. It's Bortolo's Simona Frappoti. He's bringing that little 3 group away. Well, this is what we were talking about earlier. You must keep stocked up. 72 there is Inga Klinovaiti, the Lithuanian, and taking on fluids for the rest of the team, being the bottle carrier, is Ana Garcia Ancontuera, riding for Biscata Durango. Still no real attacks. We're still waiting for this circuit of Valladolid to start, and most of the teams very wisely deciding not to go on a long break because it really will take it out of you. You can see these long gradual climbs. They mark out Castilla and Leon. They mark out a lot of Spanish riding, in fact. Even the big mountains like Sierra Nevada are very long, not so much shallow, but very steady climbs. And this is exactly what we've got here. You have to be a certain type of rider to deal with that. Now Netherland Bloyd pushing the pace on a little bit. Seems to have caught the Garmin Cervelo unaware. Garmin Cervelo got 3 or 4 riders just trying to get back towards the front. That's definitely begun to string the peloton out a little bit. They're now in 1s and 2s as we come into Valladolid. That is where the finish is. You can see it's an uphill finish. There's the commentary boxes on the left-hand side of the road. And there is Ina Teutenberg. Well, she had a great run in China, but it's a little bit worse here. Here, however, is the woman who came second. It's Lizzie Armistead. And Armistead trying to get a breakaway going. And looks like she's got Judith Arndt joining her. Nope, this is... no, it isn't. My apologies. It's Cantilate who's got away on the left-hand side here for Garmin Cervelo, and it looks like she's got Morrison with her. This is the big hill that will really sort people out. Vos, former world champion, on the front. Oh, look at the damage she's doing. She's just absolutely shed riders, and the only woman who's fighting to stay on her wheel there is Emma Johansson, and look what it's done. They get over the top, and this is all that's left. The big peloton has come to nothing, and there's, what, 20 riders in here now? And that's all under the pressure exerted by Marianne Vos. And they must be looking at each other and thinking, I hope she doesn't do that again. Terrific riding by Vos. This has really whittled the course down as they come through the start-finish area once again. A couple more riders, or a few more riders trying to get back on. The group has swelled to about 30 now, and they struggle to get there. Oh, here we go again. Oh! Oh, that's Van Vleuten! Van Vleuten's gone down. I think she was touched from behind, and I think it was Vos that's gone over the top. Let's have a look. Van Vleuten in the World Cup Leaders jersey. It is! It's Vos that's hit her from behind, and down she goes. She takes Vos over the top there. And meanwhile, this is the front of the group now, and it's Emma Johansson on the front. The Swedish national champion is putting the pressure on now, and the group is down to what? 12 or 13 riders now. And the big question is, can Van Vleuten and Vos get back on this group as quickly as possible? They have to. They have to fight to get in there. This Charlotte Becker, the national champion of Germany. Still, Johansson pushes on. Well, Vos is... I think Vos is in the middle of that group there. She may well have got back on. I think she's working her way back up. I do not see Van Vleuten, though. The World Cup leader is not in this group at the moment. Oh, terrible suffering at the back here from Margosa Jasinska, the Polish rider, being dropped at the back end. Just look at how steep this is. Doesn't look steep, but it must be, what, 14%, maybe a little less, 13%, and just destroying riders here. Armstead going around the outside of a couple of riders who are slower than her. And we want to see a good, decent shot of inside this group now. Where is Vos? Where is Van Vleuten? I think that is Vos on the left-hand side of your screen there. She's made it back into the group. Van Vleuten is nowhere to be seen. The World Cup leader not here. There it is. Number one on the back. Marianne Vos has picked herself up the deck, and she's gone into this group as they run in towards the finish now. Vos trying to get some recovery on the back, and somebody's gone off the front. It's Armstead this time around. Cantelet did the early attacks, but now Lizzie Armstead has gone on the attack. She's joined by, that is Judith Arndt this time around. Not letting it get that far. These riders do not want them to get away. They know how strong now, and Vos, one of the riders who shut that down. Still riders trying to come across the gap. Some riders can shut it down quicker than others, and it was Elena Bellato of Top Girls Fassa Bortolo who was shutting it down. They're coming in towards the finish now, this uphill sprint. And Vos is on the inside, going past Johansson in the middle. There we go. Vos hits the front now. Behind her, it's... oh, look at the gap she's opened up. Behind her is Rossella Calovi of the Cipollini squad, but the victory emphatically going to Marianne Vos. That is remarkable. She picked herself up off the deck and won. There is the World Cup leaders jersey. Van Vleuten finishing in the second group, but the victory going to team leader and teammate Marianne Vos. She will take over the World Cup leader standings once again. Really hard lines for Van Vleuten, but great for Vos. Still good for the Netherlands Lloyd team. Vos then takes over the leader's jersey once again. Nice to see Kolovi on the rostrum for the first time. Emma Johansson still waiting for a victory. So, confirmation of the results. Vos ahead of Karlovi, and then Johansson. Judith Arndt was fourth in the end. Cantelet, Armstead and Bellato round out the top 7. And the rankings overall now, Marianne Vos with a healthy lead ahead of Annemiek van der Vleuten. Then Emma Johansson and Ina Teutenberg remains 4th. So it was joy for Ina Teutenberg on the flatlands of Chongming Island, but pain and suffering when they got back to Spain. Marianne Vos, though, shows she is a class above everybody else. The leader once again.
Are you ready? UCItravel.com. UCItravel.com, your ultimate cycling travel partner.